Hello and welcome to a breakdown of E9S. Today we're going to be looking at this from a healer perspective and analyzing where mistakes happened and where we can optimize some things. So let's get to it. Okay, so just noting a couple things before the fight actually starts. I do have my food buff up, but this is something that I miss a lot. So I'm trying to get better about always checking at the beginning of every pool where my food buff is at. It makes a huge difference, even on 15% echo. Also, I already have my card drawn. This is also really, really important. You want your card drawn at least 30 seconds before the pool actually starts. Mischief, how have you been? Actually, 2 weeks before exam is, December 5th. I just realized Walker releases. Nice. Do you think you can make it work, board? I just activated Nocturnal Sect, which starts my Astro opener. And I won't go into details about the opener because it's a lot of information, and there are already great resources out there from saltedxiv.com to the Balance Discord, and there are also just a lot of great guides on YouTube on not only Astro stuff, but all of the other classes. I strongly recommend you check out and utilize these resources before jumping into Savage content. But what I did want to say is just that the Astro opener is a lot. There are a lot of buttons to push. There's a lot happening in a very, very short amount of time, and you have to be pretty precise with your timings. But it's okay. If you don't nail it on the first time or the second time or the third time, it's totally fine. It's a lot to learn and a lot to understand, and it all has to happen really, really quickly. It will not make or break the fight if you don't 100% nail this opener. Just keep practicing it, keep jumping into the fight, keep trying it, and eventually it'll become muscle memory. So I felt pretty good about my opener on this one. I was able to get Divination out around 10 seconds or so and didn't have to do a lot of redraws or anything. I had some good luck on that one. If you do have to do 1 or 2 redraws, though, it's not the end of the world. The opener is actually designed with some space for redraws in mind. So don't panic and just take your time with redraws if they do come up. Y'all want to know a secret? Today I learned there was a max range on the healer LB3. One thing right here that I'm trying to work on is I am clipping my GCD every single time I move in to heal Celestial Opposition. And I'm trying to just get more comfortable with the fact that the range on Celestial Opposition will hit everyone in the party. If I just stay in my position, I don't have to walk into the center. It's the same thing with Collective Unconscious right there. I end up clipping my GCD just a bit when I run into the center to make sure I hit everyone with Collective Unconscious. That one's a little more difficult for me because I do have to move into the center, but I'm trying to work on tightening that timing up a little bit just to make sure that my GCD is rolling the entire time. So in other words, I'm doing as much damage as I possibly can. Go me. So this is a great example of me being nervous, and as a result, I end up doing way more than I need to do. I end up overhealing and losing out on damage. 2 of my oGCD abilities, Collective Unconscious and Celestial Opposition, are on cooldown right now. So when we do the phase change, I horoscope into Aspected Helios, which primes the horoscope. The Aspected Helios does not have to happen at all. I don't need to lose that GCD. The horoscope will give everyone a small amount of healing, and then the Earthly Star that is on the ground already is going to top off the entire party when Stellar Explosion happens. It's only losing out on 1 GCD. We still end up clearing the fight anyway, but these little details do add up and they make a big difference in the long run. So it's always fun to find little spots where you can improve and maybe cut out a GCD heal and put in another offensive GCD instead. Also, right here, I know that I need to be using Surecast so that I don't take the knockback and don't end up getting a cast interrupted. Every once in a while, it works out to where my GCD keeps rolling because the knockback happens in between my casts, so I don't end up missing out on a Malefic, but it's something that in the long run, I probably should not leave up to chance and should just Surecast that. I've just gotten overly comfortable with just dealing with the knockback. I've looked at this segment a lot because I consistently lose uptime here because based on where she does wide angle or anti-air, you're going to have to potentially run all the way across the map. The reality is that you're probably going to lose a couple GCDs as you're trying to position here. There's just not quite enough time to slide cast the entire time. I do have Lightspeed on cooldown, and I typically use it when we go into the second attack, whether it's wide angle or anti-air. But I wanted to note it. I feel like I can optimize this further, but it's also, I think, one of those things where if I use Lightspeed now, I'm going to lose out on GCDs on the next one, or vice versa. This is a great example of where I should be using Lightspeed, but I don't, and it's a mistake that I'm trying to fix. There's a lot of things that have to happen in a very short amount of time here. After we get back from wide angle or anti-air, my divination window is coming up. I have to do combust on the boss. I need to draw and play a card, as well as place down a new earthly star and top up after a raid wide. If I use Lightspeed, I can double weave a lot of these things because a lot of that happens off the global cooldown. But because I'm not using Lightspeed, I'm single weaving everything. I'm not losing out on damage. It's just not optimal. I end up missing my timing a little bit, and it drags the process out into the next mechanic, and it can just get a little congested. Starting on right. Those clocks. So after spending some time in Party Finder and just talking to a lot of people about it, tiles seems to be the big part of E9S that makes people nervous. And so as soon as the phase change happens, you see everyone scurry and try to get to their place as quickly as possible. And you do have to move quickly here, but there's more time than I think people give it credit for here. There's enough time to take a breath, orient yourself, get topped off, maybe get in 1 or 2 more GCDs before moving to your actual assigned tile. more. I actually did not know this, and I felt a little dumb when someone explained it to me, but you don't actually have to stand on the cloud in order to cause the heavy status effect. In this section, you can just be standing between the cloud and the boss, so I can be all the way at the edge of the tile here. Because I'm on Astro, I have a bit more flexibility when it comes to slide casting, but other healers and other DPS classes don't have the same flexibility, so just know that you don't have to be standing directly on the cloud here. You can just be at the edge of the tile and cut down on a lot of unnecessary movement. Two, one, lasers. We get one more before I move back. This is another place that I've looked at again and again because I lose GCD uptime when I am moving from one place to the next and then back in this section. I think I could probably get away with slide casting a little bit more here just for the sake of optimization. Again, we end up clearing this fight, so it's not making a difference of whether we clear or don't clear. It's just another example of a place where I'm trying to fine-tune things. So if you play healer or if you play a caster type in this section and you know how to get away with some more uptime on casting, drop a comment and let me know. Okay. That's unfortunate. So that part didn't actually go correctly there. After we all come in for the Art of Darkness, Clocks, or Buddies mechanic there, I need to step back out to my tile so that the melee DPS can refresh, but then they go back to their corner tile and I will come back into my tile so that I'm in the center and we can top everyone off before going into this raid-wide damage / phase change area. I've had some groups wipe in this part because everyone was not topped off appropriately because I was out of position. So just something to note, it's kind of the last bit of movement that has to happen. Okay, left is safe, left is safe, left is safe. Full disclosure, I'm about 10% confident that I'm going to get this one right whenever we get to this mechanic, and I typically look for the person who's jumping up and down like, please, for the love of God, come over here. Okay, starting right. And then it's buddies. And then finish left. I can do one more. Here, I actually have Celestial Opposition off cooldown, and I don't realize it, so I end up using Horoscope into Aspected Helios to top the party off. This works, but I miss the GCD. To circle back to what we were talking about earlier, missing 1 or 2 or 3 GCDs over the course of the fight may not seem like a big deal, but the more GCDs we miss, we're talking about potentially thousands of lost potency on the boss, which is going to cause the fight to drag out much longer than it needs to. The longer the fight goes on, the more difficult it becomes for everyone involved. No, I think that was right. Oh boy. So I want to pause for a moment here to give an example of what I was talking about in that last thought. I have a lot of things that are off cooldown right now that I should be using. Divination's ready, Lightspeed is up, my Earthly Star needs to be placed, Sleeve Draw is ready, I should have used Celestial Opposition back there, Celestial Intersection is off cooldown, and I have a potion that I should have used at some point. This isn't to say that just because something is off cooldown, you need to use it just for the sake of it, but these tools can help make the fight more efficient and ultimately make things easier on myself if I'm using them at the appropriate time. Did I go to the wrong spot for clocks? No. I am embarrassed to point this out, but always lock your hotbars. It's subtle, but you can see me almost drag Limit Break off of my hotbar instead of actually using the healer LB3 there, which would have most definitely caused a wipe. Always lock your hotbars. I'm terrible at this. I'm in range this time. And that completes our breakdown. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at Eden's Promise Litany. So make sure to tune in for that, and I'll see you there.